Ishak, Allah sent down
a Quran surah
concerning the Trench and Qurayza raid. The account is found in the Confederates or Allied troops. In it he mentions their trial and the kindness to Muslims. Remember, we sent a wind against the armies, and they could not see. Allah sent this wind with his angels. Allah said, when they came at you from above and below, and when your eyes grew wild and hearts reached into your throats, you harbored doubts about Allah. Those in whose hearts is a disease said, what Allah and His Messenger promised us is nothing but delusion.
Before I comment, let's read on.
Ishak, Allah addressed the believers and said, in Allah's apostle you have a fine example for anyone who hopes to be in the place where Allah is. Ishak, then Allah said, some of you have fulfilled your vow to me by dying. You have finished your work and returned to me like those who sought martyrdom in prior battles. And some of you are still waiting to capitalize on Allah's promise of martyrdom. You do not hesitate in your religion and never doubt. Ishak, Allah brought down the people of the Scripture book. I forced the Qurayza from their homes and cast terror into their hearts. Some you slew and some you took captive. You killed their men and enslaved their women and children. And I caused you to inherit their land, their dwellings, and their property. Allah can do all things.
While I recognized that we have reviewed Allah's endorsement of genocide in the 33rd Surah, Ishak's review of the Quran ties the Islamic God irrevocably to the event. And there is no question that Ishak's interpretation of the surah, as the earliest and best researched, is the most credible in Islam. Moreover, when Allah told Muslims to follow Muhammad's example in the 33rd Surah, He was specifically encouraging terrorism, mass murder, piracy, the slave trade, and rape. The Quran said that its dark spirit deployed killer angels. The first Muslims harbored doubts about Allah. They believed that Muhammad's message was delusional. Good Muslims vowed to die as martyrs killing infidels. They were mercenaries, as they expected a reward. Allah was presented as an anti-Semite and a terrorist. Islam's God approved genocide and the enslavement of women and children. He even confessed to being a pirate, claiming to have caused Muslims to inherit stolen land, possessions, and homes. There is no other way to interpret these confessions, or to explain them away. The dark spirit, the demented prophet, and the delusional doctrine that seduced men into perpetrating these heinous acts must be exposed. It must be repudiated, and then banished from the earth. Or tomorrow, men following Muhammad's example will terrorize you, forcing you into submission. They will rape, rob, enslave, and kill your family. And while the Islamic terrorists will earn their just reward for following Muhammad's example, going to the place where Allah is, the pain they inflict cannot be undone. The first Muslims were proud of themselves.
Ishak, Gabriel came to the apostle when Saad was taken. He visited him in the middle of the night wearing an embroidered turban and said, O Muhammad, who is this dead man for whom the doors of heaven have been opened and at whom the throne shook?
Since Gabriel is credited with revealing the Quran to Muhammad, isn't it odd that he would need to ask the messenger about something that actually happened in heaven? And Saad was a thug, a man who loved to kill. He was a racist and a thief. If these behaviors rock Allah's throne, the Islamic God is a rather nasty fellow.
Ishak, Saad was a fat man, but those who carried his funeral bier said that they had never carried a lighter one. Muhammad said he had angelic pallbearers because the angels rejoiced when Saad's spirit shook Allah's throne. Ishak. And Ansar recited this poem. The throne of Allah shook for only one man. Saad, the brave and the bold, a glorious leader, a knight ever ready. Stepping into the battle, he cut heads to pieces.
Saint Saad, a genuine Muslim hero.
Ishak. The apostle said, every wailing woman lies except those who wept for Saad. Tabari. Aisha, the mother of the faithful, was asked, how did the messenger of God behave? She replied, his eye did not weep for anyone.
Der Prophet and Der Führer were cut from the same cloth.
Ishak. On the day the Qurayza were slain, one Muslim was martyred. A stone was thrown on him, and it inflicted a shattering wound. The apostle said, he will have the reward of 2 martyrs.
In Islam, you get bonus points for killing, robbing, and enslaving Jews. These poetic lines were recited during the Islamic Holocaust.
Ishak. We attacked them fully armed, sharp swords in hand, cutting through heads and skulls.
This could serve as Islam's byline.
Ishak. We were steadfastly trusting in him. We have a prophet by whom we will conquer all men.
All means all. That's all means.
Ishak. Muhammad's companions are the best in war. Ishak again. Muhammad and his companions humiliated every doubter. And again. Allah commanded that horses should be kept for his enemy in the fight, so they might vex them. We obeyed our prophet's orders when he called us to war. When he called for violent efforts, we made them. The prophet's command is obeyed, for he is truly believed. He will give us victory, glory, and a life of ease. Those who call Muhammad a liar disbelieve and go astray. They attacked our religion and would not submit.
The last was a full-service sonnet. It contained an incentive to amass weapons and an incentive to use them, a command to annoy the enemy, and a command to fight them. It encouraged and acknowledged violence. It was even admitted that the violence was perpetrated for money, to gain a life of ease.
Ishak. Slain in Allah's religion, Saad inherits paradise with the martyrs. His was a noble testimony. When he pronounced his verdict on the Qurayza, he did not judge on his own volition. His judgment and Allah's were one. Saad is among those who sold his life for the garden of bliss.
Considering that the verdict called for genocide, larceny, and enslavement, Allah's complicity in these crimes should be bothersome to all people the world over. This, too, is hideous.
Ishak. The apostles slew them in their own town. With our troops he surrounded their homes. We shouted out cries in the heat of battle. The Jews were given the Scripture and wasted it. Being blind,
the illiterate man said,
they strayed from the Torah. You Jews disbelieve the Quran, and yet you have tasted the confirmation of what it said. May Allah make our raid on them immortal. May fire burn in their quarter. They will no longer ruin our lands. You
Jews
have no place here, so be off.
I saved the worst for last.
Ishak. The Qurayza met their misfortune.
Now there's an understated word.
In humiliation they found no helper. A calamity worse than that which fell on the Nadir befell them. On that day Allah's apostle came to them like a brilliant moon. We left them with blood upon them like a pool. They lay prostrate with the vultures circling round.
For any American, or for anyone, voting for or even supporting a politician, media leader, pastor, or academician who speaks on behalf of this religion, you deserve the fate that will befall you. The only thing an enlightened world can do, the only thing a compassionate person can do, is to come to understand the vile spirit behind Mohammed and Islam, expose them for what they really are, and then banish them from this world. We must also isolate and defame those who have chosen to speak on behalf of this murderous doctrine.